Welcome everyone, good morning at our new today's training where we will looking at Merbon SCADA software, which is our HMI software for visualization and remote control of your PLCs. Just in start to be sure everything is working fine, I would kindly ask you to write me in chat if you hear me well, if it's proper for you, if it's too loud, or if everything is working fine. Okay, great, thanks. So first I'm going to show you how our software Merbon SCADA look like. I'm going to show you it more from like a user perspective. It means there will be no installation in start, it will be just the user definition or user perspective of Merbon SCADA. So it means it's more not your perspective but the perspective of your customers, the end users, the ones who will be in a SCADA for after installation. So just to show you some new features or settings that you can find in SCADA. So we're going to start. This is our website, our cloud SCADA that we use for our special projects or our demo softwares. So I'm going to show you some test or demo, let's say, project. So what is SCADA good for? SCADA basically it's a shortcut of the SCADA. It means supervisory control and data acquisition. There is very important is the first part, which is supervisory control. This is something different of the other programs or analyzation softwares which are only for visualization of data, for example for graphs and trends and everything. So SCADA, the difference between SCADA and these analyst softwares is that SCADA you are able to control from SCADA you are able to control the PLCs, you are able to control something, to send the actions back. So it means you saw some problem, for example, in your project, and you can manage it from SCADA. You can send some comments to the net to PLCs, and they can react to the situation. So this is a difference between analyzation softwares for visualization and SCADA. So if it's SCADA, it means you can control something. You can send the data back to your devices. So that's basically it. This is its most use. Normally, as you may know, if you're working with us for a longer period of time, you may know we also support web servers in our PLCs, directly in our PLCs. This is good only for controlling the exact PLC. If you have a bigger project, a large project which contains many hundreds or thousands of data points, it is better to control it from some remote server, from SCADA, because then it's hard to provide access to all your PLCs, to all your web servers, and in SCADA you can all have it in one place. You can communicate with multiple PLCs, with multiple projects, which can be all over your country, and you can communicate with all of them, and the user may go just to one page, to one web page, one server, and can control all the PLCs or see the data from all the PLCs of your projects. So its main use is for larger projects, but you may use it also for smaller ones if you wish to. It's also better. It has a higher performance than web servers because it's running on a server. It's not running on a PLC memory. Oh, maybe if you are familiar with our previous visualization software, which is called still RCWare Vision, you may know that there are some basics, how it works, how it looks like. Basically, SCADA it's very similar because we're still using RCWare Vision as an editor for SCADA till now. I will show it later for those ones who don't know, who never saw RCWare Vision software, the editor for the projects of SCADA. I will show it later today in our training. And so it's basically very similar. When you open the page, you see a project. When you put the credentials, you can see the projects. There is this very important icon which show you all the projects that you have permission to see. It doesn't mean it's all the project of the server because there could be multiple projects, but these are only ones that you can access to, because there is always a user policy in SCADA software which you can manage, and you can change the user rights for exact users. So these users are only permitted to see these 3 projects. And right now we are looking at the demo 2 in English, so that's why it's called like this. It's for our foreign customers. Okay, if you click the project, it will open you a new page with your project. It works just like this. And then it's in its own tab. It's pretty similar like normal browser tabs. You see, it's very similar. You just click on this and you see the contents. Okay, so it's kind of similar. So all new project will open a new tab. Okay, so you can see. Okay, so these ones. Okay. So this is a basic. So this is a very important icon. It shows you all the projects that you can access. There is also a filter in case that you have a large number of projects and it will be hard to find the correct one. And also there is a filter for the data points itself. You can navigate to the projects, for example. You can see all the data points here. If you choose the project, you can proceed here. These 3 icons are very important too, because it defines what will be shown in this working place. So the first option, it will show you all the data points from the project as a table. As you can see, there is multiple data points in the table. Every project must have a table. When you're creating a new project, you always start with a project table. You create all the data points. As you can see, there is the time of the last communication. There is a value and the name, pretty similar. And you can see the colors defines the type of the variable. Okay, so all the data points have its actual time of the last communication. So here you can see that points are communicating well. The name, a value, and some of them have also buttons. These buttons are not mandatory. They are only when you're using outputs. So it means when you want to control something, you want to set some data point, you use these buttons. In this case, I cannot click all of them because this user is for our customers, so you cannot change any values in the projects. It has only read-only rights. So that's another user policy setting. So you can set, so some users can edit only some projects. So this user is not allowed to change the values. He can only see the data points. Okay, so you can see these are some values that you can click on. Here you see it only shows you some of the data points because it's live, it's communicating right now. And in case you have a very large number of data points, there is this little arrow that will show you more data points. The next page, let's say. Okay, now this is end. We see some data points here. And we can navigate back to top. Okay. So data points are mostly for people for you, because you know the exact name, or for people who works here for a long time and they know what data points are used for what. Most of users use this icon will navigate you to the scene view. As you can see, now I see some pictures. This is the technological theme of my technology here. There is some boilers. As you can see, the pipes with hot and cold water. There is some air conditioning and some basic values of temperature outside, inside, humidity. And there is some control panels to them. So this is an example for your visualization. And here you can see there is some navigation card. So I can click either here to proceed to another page, or in case I don't know exactly where should I click at, but I know that I have some page to see, you can click here also. If you click here, you see all the pages that are implemented in your project. So in case you don't have a button here to click and navigate to the right page, you can also see it here. So it doesn't matter, you can go there if you don't have it on a button inside your working place. So either you have a navigation implemented inside your project like this, or you can navigate through this menu, let's say, list of the available pages. Okay, there is air conditioning, and it's all created using our graphics, which is free. So if you want to download our graphics, if you want to use it, it's for free of use. You can use it by downloading it here. It's on our page. I'm sorry, I will just switch it in English. So it's downloads software, and it's here, Merbon Technological Themes. So this is a library of our pictures of our graphics. So if you are interested in our graphics, you can use it in your project as well. So it's free of charge. You can download it and use it. But you don't have to. You can use your own graphics. Our visualization software is free for any editing, so you can use your pictures, your visualization, depends what do you like, what do you want to present yourself. Okay, so this is the first part. It's pretty simple. So you can control your projects either through the project table to see all the data points, where you can filter the data points. For example, temperature, I see all the temperatures in my project, so it's pretty simple to, if I know the right word, I can pretty easy see all the temperatures, all the data points. But for users, for customers, it's more simple for them to use themes visualization, so you can create your visualization here in some pictures, technological themes, to see the technology and if everything is working, running fine. So as you can see, there is some indicators. They are showing us the values, and there is also a control buttons or set points. As you can see, for example, here I can edit these values, or I can switch the buttons. It's also for control, or there is equithermal graph for equithermal control. You see, it's a temperature of the boiler, which depends on the outside temperature. So you see, outside temperature is here. So if outside is 15 below zero, the temperature of the boiler will be about 80 degrees. In case to provide the water that is hot enough to heat all your building, or yeah. Okay, so this is just for a start. It's basic, and there is always also a third page, which is project graph view. This page is used to see a history of some data point in graph, in trend, it means, yeah. So you can either choose some value here by clicking this checkbox, or, so this is the first option, I will show you the result. Okay, so this is the result, and I can see the history of this data point. You can see that there is always night and morning, night again. So this is the one option, and the second option, as you can see here in my theme, that this data point is now highlighted, and it's because now it's showing its trend. So I can either click here, or I can click also here. And how to do it? You can either click just right on the value here and check the data point like this. This is one option. And the second option is to hold the control button just in the corner of your keyboard and click on another data point. So I'm just holding the control button, and you see that I can choose multiple values using this button. Okay, so I can choose this one and this one, for example. I can see it on graph. So you can see this is the outside temperature and this is inside temperature, which is not very changing. Just a little bit. Okay, so we have 3 pages of each project. It's data point table, scene view, and a graph view. In user policy, you can manage to show some users only scene view or graph view and data points. It depends. You can change it. It's not mandatory to show all these 3 icons to each user. So if you don't like it, if you don't like this view, you can hide it from the user and you can only show him this project view and a graph view, for example. Okay, so now we will move to these icons. These icons are changing, depends on which icon I click. See, it's the control of the exact page. So I will show you these simple ones. It's a data point table view. These are only used for navigation through points. You see, there's a go to previous or next selected data point. So I can just navigate through the project. And these ones are only for filtering. So you can filter good data points. I can see its number here, or bad data points. There is no bad, there's no bad data point here, or old data points. Or the selected ones, for example. I can filter only the selected ones, or the alarm data points as well. And these are the communication data points with communication error. I may not have some here, but maybe I have some here to show you the communication error data point. Okay, just see, there is one. So you can see this is a data point with communication error. It will be shown here. And there is also some bad data points. See, with the chart not properly created, let's say. So this is just for a filtering of our table. The most useful one is this. This is cancel data point selection. So if you don't remember all your selections, you can cancel it by one button here. Okay, this is for the first page. Now I will proceed to the second one, which is graph view. So I will just make sure I have some data points selected. I'll use the outside temperature and inside temperature, and I will go here. Now here in the graph view, it's pretty simple. Here you can see this is the y-axis and an x-axis, which is the time. and you see the history of the two data points. The control here is first one is the time interval to show. So you can choose how long you want to show the data for what period of time. So I will, for example, choose 1 week to see a week. Okay, here is a week. And this gray part, you see it's darker. I hope you see it also on YouTube. So it's darker than the rest of the graph. It means this is holidays. It's a Saturday and Sunday. This is highlighted because it's very, I think it's normal that when you're using it for building controls, the holidays are different from the rest of the week. So this is the reason why it's highlighted, because it just thinks that there will be some other, some different temperature, for example, or different control through weekend. Okay, the second one, this is a more important one. It will show you the type of the graph. So there is some very easy ones. So line, I think it's very obvious. But there is also a carpet. So in the carpet graph, I think maybe not all of you are familiar with this type of graph. So I'll just explain how it works. Basically, it shows you value of only one data point. You can see it here that now this is scratched and this is available. If I click on the scratched one, it will show me the data from the other one. So in case I have multiple data points selected here, I will always see only the one data point in time. Okay, I will show it to you on the outdoor temperature. I think it's very similar to explain it here. So as you can see, here we have a time schedule. So it's from 0 to 24 o'clock. So this is a time and this is a date. So each column, it's 1 day. It starts from a midnight and it goes through noon to midnight of the next day. So we'll show you how the temperature is changing through the days. You can see this is, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it goes. And you can see, for example, here, this is a peak of the temperature, and it's very similar every day. So there is always a peak of temperature. So the color shows you the value. You can see there is a bar, that's the scale of the color. It will show you that the blue ones are the most coldest ones, and the red ones are the most hot ones. So you can see that these are times where temperature is on its top, on its peak, and this is when the temperature is on its lowest points. I think it's pretty obvious that from, I think there is like a 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, temperature is rising. When the sun is rising, the temperature is rising as well. But you can see, for example, here, this day was kind of cold, very colder than the next ones. And for example, these three were very hot. Yeah, heat map. Yeah, heat map. Yeah, this can be also the name for this. I may say it this way, maybe it will be easier. Yeah, heat map. It will be maybe more easier to understand. still may be familiar with heat maps, so it's great to see that you already see these kind of graphs. Thank you, thank you. And in case, yeah, I may not mention it in the start, that in case of any questions, you can write during the stream. Just do not hesitate to ask me anything when I'm live to answer your question here. So thanks. Okay, so this is heat map. And yeah, we named it carpet diagram. And okay, so here is some, unless you can manage the colors here. So it can be like a linear. This is for the normal one. It's automatically it will show you, it will add you the lowest temperature and put it here, and the highest temperature and put it here. So it means it will show you the scale of your concrete temperatures. But for example, you may only want to see this kind of resolution. It's for indoor temperatures. It's standard indoor temperatures. So you can see here that only in this time it was in the right values. But this is the outside temperature, so it doesn't matter here. Maybe we can see it here. So here you can see that our room, it's very overheat. Maybe it's overheated because it's red, all red. So it's all the time above the 26 degrees. So this room is definitely overheated. 27, see 27.5 degrees. So this is easier way to see the problems. Okay, here you can also choose your kind of range if you wish to. So for example, this is not very useful because there is always, the temperature is always higher than 26. So we can change it like this, for example, and we can see at least some changes here. Oh, so you can see this is, for example, very interesting. You see that there is always very hot during the night, and it's colder during the day. Okay, so this is for the diagram, for a heat map, or as we call it, carpet graph. And the next one to show you, it's a modulo graph. I'm sorry because I don't know the correct name for this either. I'm not sure why it's called modulo itself, but I will try to explain it to you. Here you have two intervals. The first one is the interval or a period of time from which you want to read the data, and the second one is the interval how you want to cut the data or to see the data in one line. So when I click here and choose 1 week, it will show me data from 1 week, and it will divide me the data by days, because here I select day. So now for every day I have one line. So you see, and these are for both values. So you see here, if I hide this one, for this, you see that it's always very similar. Outside temperature, it's sometimes kind of different. So you see, this is every line is 1 day now, and it's just put in one graph to see like some normal values and some very strange or different parts, different days. So you, for example, see this day was very cold in comparison to the normal values. So you can see like a normal trend. You see that there is always a high, some kind of hot peak, and then it goes down again. So it may be when the sun is rising and it's shining on the temperature meter. On the thermometer, it may be higher. Then the sun goes, for example, and then it grows again with the heat of outside temperature itself of the air. So this could be some mistake, for example, for your implementation. You can see it here. Okay, so this is for a module graph. I hope it's clear for you. And there is also a bar graph. I think it's very obvious. It will show you data in bars, but maybe this is not so obvious. How you can use it? You will choose the interval from which you will read the data. That's same. Then you will choose how you want to divide the data here. So you can divide it by days, so you can see the value for each day. And you can also choose the function which will be used to select or to not select. This is not a very good word. It's more like, it's a function for your data. So if you choose maximum, it will show you maximum of each day. We will compare all the data in every day. It will show you the maximum of each day, or it will show you the minimum of each day, or an average difference, for example. Sum. Now, for example, the maximum will be most useful for temperatures or an average to compare each column. You can see this checkbox is used to just to show you the y-axis from 0. If I unclick it, it will show you from depends on each temperature. To be automatically scaled depending on my values. Okay, so this is for a bar graph. Bar graph can be useful here. For example, if you have energy meter, where it's a state of the energy meter, you can create the consumption for every month, for example, or every day. If you choose 1 week, you choose just, for example, 1. Then you can choose a day and the difference. So it will show you the difference. And if it's the current state of your energy meter, you can see by difference, you can see a consumption for this period. And then you can, for example, export it, because this last icon is used for some additional settings, and there is export. So you can export it as an CSV file or XLSX file, and you can have your data exported. Let's see, it's here. You see 2 values. One is here, one is here, and you see the values here. Okay, there is also one option, multiple y-axis, which can be useful if you have 2 very different values. Now it's both are the both of these values are temperatures, but you may have a temperature and energy meter or something else, or a pressure. So, or you can see here that when I click the multiple y-axis, that each data point have its own y-axis. So now you see that there is outside temperature which have its own, and the indoor temperature which have its own also. So this is a way how to manage y-axis. There is also option to PNG file or yeah, XLSX, as I said before. Okay, I will just take it back and I will show you some more options here. Yeah, there is also different line. This is it may be useful for when you're comparing two values. So you can see like the integral of these two values. You see which one is higher, and if this value is higher than the other one, the color will be with this, and when it's opposite, it will be different. See, when I choose some other value, this one for example. Okay, now I have 3, and yeah, you see that the highest one, it's always showing its color here. Yeah, so I can compare the values. It's easier to see when it's which value is higher most of the time. Okay, then there is some very important things. As you may saw before, I can hide the data points if I click here. Hide and show them. And there is also some graph controls here. It's not very kind of hidden here. Some users may not notice this, so make sure you see all the navigation here, all the controls. Here you can adjust your legend, so you can hide the legend, you can show it, or you can show it with project and its group, data point group. You can hide the tooltips, or you can select points, for example. You can select points. Okay, you can navigate to graph. You can zoom and outzoom. This is very common question because sometimes, normally you can zoom it by dragging your mouse to the point where you want to zoom. And some users who don't see this little icon don't know how to go back now, because now you're zoomed and there is no option to go back. So you can do it by clicking here and clicking the zoom out button. Here there is option to trim visible data. It means it will cut you the data. So if I, for example, choose this interval, this time interval, and I will choose cut the data, and I zoom out, you will see that I only have shown these data, which I showed before, and there is yeah, from to interval, and it's set on my specific range. I can also show data points, so you can see the specific data points, not the connections only, but the specific ones, which are in the database or in history. And you can also connect all data points. If the data points are not connected, you may notice, for example, here, there was a data point, some fail of the connection, and the data point was not written in the memory. But for visualization, you can connect this whole. But for your information to see some failures of your memory, you can click it here and see the holes in your lines. Okay. Okay, this is for optimizing the data scales. You see here you have some functions, how it's recounted, and by which is what is more important for you. What could be very useful is this last icon, oscilloscope mode. I will show it to you here when I click, for example, only 15 minutes. Okay, and I will start the oscilloscope mode. Now you can see that there is written data online in my graph now. Okay, so now it's online written in the memory of the browser. So the data point in the history, they are only saved in some period, preset period, which can be like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 hour, depends on the PLC. But if you want to see some some smaller changes of your value, you can start the oscilloscope mode, and it will save you all the data from every communication of the SCADA. So here you have every 6 or 5 seconds you see there is the data point. This graph, it's only online, so you have to make sure that you will only see the history right now. When I will leave the graph, when I will close the page, the data will be lost. It's only for your online view of the data, of some data point. It could be useful when you are implementing the project and you are not sure what is happening on it. You may stay running for 1 hour or half an hour to see exact data here, because some problematic states may be not very obvious when you have only, for example, 1 hour interval of data save. I think the best example of this could be the oscillation. When you have an oscillation like this, for example, you may not notice it. If you are saving only once every 10 minutes, you will see a nice line. But if you start oscilloscope mode, you can see that the temperature is still going up and down. So there can be some problem in the regulation if this will be the indoor temperature and it will be in some higher period. It may show you some problem with your regulation or controlling the system. Okay, so this is only online data, and you can reload the data by this last icon here. Full screen mode. I think this is everything for a graph. And we can move to the next icon, which is graph scene view. Graph view was now, and this is a scene view. Okay, I will use this time for a brief information for you, because at the start I was I was trying to manage some preparation, and I forget to tell you a very important thing, which is today's schedule, today's topic. So we started with this user interface, and we will proceed to the installation. So after this introduction, when I will be finished with this introduction for users, I will proceed to the installation part, and then I will show you some kind of RCWare editing of projects. So I will show you how to create a project, how to export it, and how to manage to move it to the Merbon SCADA from RCWare Vision. And there will be end. So I will continue, and I also forget to tell you my name. So in case you don't know me, my name is František Hilmar. I'm working as a technical support and as a development engineer in our company. So in case of any questions, problems, you can write email to our support support@domat.cz email, or you can call us on our support line, which is available on our website. So I'm sorry that I didn't introduce myself at start, and I hope that we will have a good time here today. I will show everything properly. Okay, so thank you for your attendance, and I will continue with the interface of the SCADA. This is scene view, as I showed you before. It's pretty obvious what it's showing. It's showing the data points, the technological theme, the state of our technology, but there is also some control icons here. So this is only for a resolution, so you can show it in a way how it was created, or you can fit it to the size of your screen. So you can see I can fit it, or I can see it in the way how it in the resolution which was created. Okay, there is also the same icon or same button as it was before for canceling the data points. So I can cancel it. But there is also some very important ones. I will first show you this is for exporting the scene to a PNG file. So it will only download you the picture in case you want to share it with someone. You can display it in full screen mode. Okay. Sorry. You can display it in full screen mode. And here is, I think, most important thing, which is called create seam node. This is addition in comparison with RCWare Vision or the other SCADA softwares. This is very useful tool. With this tool, any user can create a node inside your seam. So in case, for example, you are an operator, you see there is some error on this air conditioning, but you want to manage it, and for example, it will be replaced after 1 week. So the other operators or managers who have access to this web page may see the problem here and try to find a solution, try to call someone to fix it, but you already manage the replacement or somebody to fix it. If you already manage this problem, you can write a note to them. For example, red one, you can choose the color here and write this device will be replaced as soon as possible. Okay. And you can move it on the device. And now the other users who will came to this page will see that someone created a node here, and it was this user, and this is what it's calling. And for example, if I know that it will be after 1 week, I can choose that after 1 week this node will be deleted. You can fix the position and show expanded if I want. So now it will be shown always expanded. So if I go to some other page and go back, it wasn't this, it was this, I believe. Yeah. And it will have, okay, and after one week, it will disappear automatically. This is useful for you if you are afraid that you will forget to delete the node. You can preset this validity time in advance, so you may not need to go back when it's over, and you can just put your validity here when you're creating it. One of our customers are using this when they are doing a reconstruction of some of their buildings. They just put here a note that there is reconstruction. All the errors may be caused by this reconstruction, so the operators may not react to them. Okay, so this can be very useful for you, for your edition. Okay, so now it's fit, I cannot move it. But if I'm owner, I can change the settings here. Okay, so this is for the nodes. So every user can create a node when he has a right to nodes, and all the users can see them, can share these nodes. This is a way how you can share your information using the theme of your projects. I think this is everything for this part, for this, and I will always also show you some advanced icons here also. So this first icon, this is for active alarms. Here you can see all the alarms which are active right now. Here is a list of the project, and I can see all active alarms inside every separate project. If I wanted to see all of them in one page, I can just click this icon, and I will see all the active alarms in one page, in one table. Here, the bottom page, this is a history. This is the data point history. History of alarms, so you can see there was some active alarms. And this is also a filter. Just for filtering. This is for reload. Okay, this is, I can hide the history panel, acknowledge all selected alarms, reset all selected alarms, so I can do some operations here also. If I have a rights, but right now I don't have a rights to do it because I'm just a read-only user. And I can also download the history and CSV file. Or cancel the selection. It's pretty same. Okay, this icon, this is a map view. Here you may see all the projects. in a map. So in case you have some buildings across your country, all over your country, and it will be useful for you to have it shown in a map, in a project map, you may use this map. What I have to mention is that this map is online, so the computer where the SCADA is running needs the internet connection. Here you can see this is our office. Oh, this is our demo project. And you can also see the names or the ones, okay, labels. And this is a click to navigation to themes. And as you may see, these pages has its own tabs in my menu, so I can navigate through them as it was a project itself. This function of the project map, it's normally off, and in case you want to use it, you can contact us and we will navigate you how to run it. Okay. Then there is some useful tools as a project log. Okay, we may see the log here. I will try to reload it. Oh, this page, projects log, it contains the information of the user actions which were done in your SCADA. So it basically means when someone changes some value, some temperature, or acknowledge some alarm, you will see all the actions here. So this user is read only, so there is no actions, there is only get data action, which means that I took a look at some data point, at some theme. See that I opened some themes here. See the name of the theme. And you can basically track the activity of the user here. There is two options of user policy. Basic one is that every user see its own actions here. But if you are an administrator, you can manage to see actions of all users. This could be very useful for you when you have some project. Then it can be useful to see what the customers done here. If they have some problem here, that may tell you that someone's changes the values or the values were changed itself. You can take a look here and see, okay, there was someone named this name who changed it 1 week ago, for example. So it wasn't a mistake, it wasn't our problem, somebody changed this value. So this is like a log of all actions which were done in your projects. You can filter this by projects. Or by user, or by action. And always by node. So if you, for example, interested only in this theme, you can just filter it like this. And you can change the range here. So that's basically the navigation through this project log. Then there is alarm history, which is similar to the active alarms page here. This is similar like this. Okay, this is similar. And the project statistics, this can be useful not very for the users, but for you as an your implementator or the administrator of the project. Here you can see if all the projects are running. This is a run status, that's very important. In some problematic occasions, some of the project could be stopped. So you can see it here. And there is also a list of the inactive alarms, acknowledged alarms, alarms in memory, invalid data points, or suspicious. So you can see it here. One very important information here is the number of the data points. Our Merbon SCADA is sold as a service with a limited number of data points available, depends on your type of your license. So here you can see the number of your data points. So in case you don't know how many data points you implemented yet, you can see the numbers here. And you can very simple count the numbers and see if you are still available to implement new projects in your this type of license. Okay, this is here. Okay, so this is project stats. And then there is important page user settings. There's some main settings. Maybe this is a very important one. Show projects overview. You can see an overview here. This can be useful when you have multiple projects in your SCADA. So you can see some basic state of the project. If it's running, if there is some active alarm, when there is some points that are not communicating well, you see it very easily here in this project preview, let's say. It's called overview. Yeah, overview, it's better. Then one important thing, it's update data points values interval. In case you have a large project, you can change this to some higher intervals. So this will cause that the data points will not be refreshed every 5 seconds. It will be refreshed, for example, only every 20 seconds. So now if I go back to project now, I will see that the timestamps will change only every 20 seconds. Okay, you can see it's still, and now it changed. This will cause the whole SCADA, the whole project will run faster now because it's not refreshed so often. But in case you want a minimum actualization time, minimum refreshing time, you can choose this very least value, only a half second. It won't be a half second communication because it's not that fast, but it will try to communicate as fast as possible. Okay, now it's maybe running in the previous state, and now it's running in this state. So it's trying, but it's only like 6 seconds or 5 seconds maximum. Okay, but you can change it, for example, to 1 minute. If it's running too slow, you can change it to 1 minute and it will be faster to navigate through the project. There is some advanced user settings. I think that's not very important for you, just for users, some options. One important option for you could be the language. We have Czech language, the English, the Deutsch. Unfortunately, it's not implemented yet. There is only an option, but the Deutsch is not here yet, so it may be in the future. You can run some sound for alarm point or notification windows. This can be useful also because as you may know, if you are using RCWare, if you are familiar with it, there is notifications when the alarm occur, so you can turn this off so it won't show you the notifications. Okay, this could be for settings. And yeah, this is statistic. This icon here, it shows you the communication of your SCADA. So if it's if both icons are blinking, okay, this is a download, and this is upload. So you see that the SCADA is communicating well. If there will be some problem and you won't be sure if it's communicating, you can see it here. This is a logged user. This is just the name of the user. And I will show you one more thing here. There's about box. It's just of your this is information of the version of your SCADA. In case you don't know it and you have some problem, you want to discuss this with us, and you see our QR code for the current page. Okay, I will show you one more thing which can be very useful for you. This is difference between RCWare and Merbon SCADA. So you can choose data points from multiple projects and see them in one graph. So here I clicked on the one in this page. I will choose this from the other project. Okay, I can close these ones. And okay, and for example this one from this project. Okay. Now here you can see there is an icon for selected data points. When I click it, there is a next table. This is just the list of all selected data points. Here in the header you see the name of the project. And here you see all the data points which were selected from the projects. And here I can select them again and see them in a graph together. So I'll see here. Here I see the communication or the loading. So in case there is still the numbers are growing, you know that the SCADA is still working. In case not, it may be stuck on some problem. So here you can see data points from 3 separate projects. And now it may be useful to see the full legend, so I know the name of the project from which I selected the data point. Okay, this can be useful when you have same name for one value and you use it through all your projects. You can choose it from every project and then see it in one graph. And you can compare them. Okay, I think that's it for the user interface. So I think the main news are the multiple projects approach. Then the nodes. I think nodes are different from the old RCWare. And also the graphics, the statistics, project logs and stuff. Project map. Okay, I think this is all for the user interface. So in case of any questions, you can write in chat and I will try to answer. In case you don't have any, I will proceed with installation. So I will just leave you like 1 minute. Okay, I believe there is no questions, but in case you will something came to your mind, don't hesitate to write me, even when I will continue with installation. So this is for user interface. So I'll log out. Yeah, and there is also a mobile devices version. In case you are using your phone, you can switch to the mobile view. Okay, so this is for our Merbon SCADA if you see it as a user, and now I will continue with the installation. So in case you want to install the SCADA, you need two things. One thing is an installer. It's free for download here. Okay, so if I go to our page, download software, Merbon SCADA, this is always the latest version. It's always here. The older ones are here. Very important thing are the hardware requirements, which are mentioned here, and the user manuals. I believe all information are in the user manual, so I recommend to use them in case you want to know something more about SCADA, to make sure you won't miss any step during the installation. Do not hesitate to open them and use them to your during your installation. Very important thing here is release notes. Here you can see the changes version to version, some fixes or new stuff in our installer. And yeah, there is always a shortcut to our demo, which I showed you before, where you can present your SCADA to customer, for example, and you don't have any project yet. Okay, I will use the installation notes to show you some structure of the SCADA itself, to show you how it really works. Now I only presented you the visualization part, but here this is more important. It's the background, how it works. So basically, the main difference between RCWare and Merbon SCADA is that the RCWare, it's an application. It's the Windows app which is running on your computer. You can see it as a shortcut on your desktop, and when you open it, you can minimize it, close it, and work with this in the user mode. SCADA is different. SCADA works as a Windows service. Windows service starts with the run of your computer, of your system. And you can only manage, you can stop or start the service using the services. Sorry, I didn't change my language in my computer, so this is normally a services when you want to see it on your computer. So this is like this, services. Okay, if you just write it here, it will be shown in your language. And this is used for your services which are running in your computer. These applications running when you start a system, and you can only manage them through some other application. You normally don't see them. You don't mention it running. As you may see that we use for users, we use these browsers to access the user part of the SCADA. The controlling part you can manage through the services application or through our application, which is installer for the services. So this is the main difference. And for the installation of the SCADA services, you need an installer. This is what I showed you before. Is the application that you can download it. So you need an app to install the services. But the SCADA itself, it's not just one service, it's multiple services which are communicating with each other and are providing the data to users. The most important one, it's the Merbon SCADA server service. It's just here in the center of the scene in the topology. This is a service where most of users approach. You can either have it inside your internal network, or you can provide the port of the SCADA server of your web to internet, and there the multiple users can see it from just the browser as a normal web page. So this is a main difference and main advantage of SCADA, because before an RCWare Vision was just an application running on the computer or server, and if you wish to use it, you were supposed to provide a remote access to the computer itself. So you were obliterated with using some other tools to remote connection to the computer. Right now, you can use just the internet browser like Google Chrome, Edge, Mozilla Firefox, or the others. So this is a main advantage. And you can also manage the user policy here, which is very important also, because the user policy, it's also the problem when you have a SCADA. You may have multiple projects and you want to show the users only the information you want, not all the information. So this is also a thing that is connected with the SCADA server, and it's an advantage in comparison with RCWare software. So the main service is Merbon SCADA server. Then the other one, which is also mandatory to run the service, to provide the SCADA connection, you need these two, Merbon SCADA server and domain server service. Domain server has all the information that's about users. So this is why it's always you always have to install it when you want to install, when you want to provide a SCADA to someone. Because in case you don't have a domain server installed, there will be no user policy, there will be no users. Users would not can connect to your Merbon SCADA server. So this is why you always need a domain server installed also. But it's a separate service. These two are mandatory. If you want to run a SCADA on a server or a computer, these two are mandatory. The other ones are optional. Very useful one is Alarm Server with messaging service. Alarm Server stores the history of alarm points. As you saw before, if you want to use the history, you need Alarm Server. So if you want to see something here, or here, you need a SCADA server. You need an alarm server. Sorry. When you have alarm server implemented, you can also use the messaging service, which is very useful also because you can send the alarm messages to your customers in case of some problem. Sorry, they can have an email or a text to their phone, so or message to their phones or the emails. Those ones who are working with us for a longer period of time may know that we have this option also in our PLCs. This is available, but in case that you want to add some messaging and you don't want to go to your project and change the project at your PLC, you can create it in SCADA. So then it's easier for you to manage it. So you can manage it only from one place, one computer. You don't have to upload new projects to your PLCs. You just need to change it here in your SCADA service. Okay, so this is the other optional service is database. There is two ways how to implement the database in your topology. One way is that the PLCs are passive and the Merbon SCADA server is active. So the Merbon SCADA server will access the PLC, read the data, and then save it to the database, which will be running on the same computer or the other computer as the Merbon SCADA server. Then there is another option. PLCs are active in this case, and they are sending the data to the database, and from the database, data are shown in the Merbon SCADA server. These options has its advantages and disadvantages. Advantage of this approach when the SCADA is active is that it's very easy to implement. You don't need to go to your projects, to your previous Merbon IDE projects, and to change the project inside the PLCs to upload the new ones. You just need to create a connection between the SCADA server and the PLC, and then you can use the database. But the disadvantage of this approach is that when you don't have a connection to the PLC is passive, so it doesn't store you any data during for example, some very short shutdown of your connection. For example, if it's one day when it's no connection and then it's restored, you will lose the data of this one day. This connection solves this problem because if it's only some short period of time, the PLC will store the data inside its memory because the PLC knows that it cannot reach the database. So it knows it has to store the data, and after the restoration of the connection, it will send the data from its memory. So you will not lose all the memory, all the data. You will only lose, for example, some part of it. If it's a longer period of time, you will lose only a part. When it's a short period of time, you don't lose any data. It will be all stored in PLC memory, but it depends how big portion of data you are storing. Sorry. So this is all for SCADA topology. This is how it works on your computer when it's installed. And I can proceed to some system requirements. This is a very important part. I think the most important thing is that SCADA is supported only on Windows right now. It may change in the future, but right now it's only for Windows. And it's for Windows 8.1 or newer. It's very important also. So it doesn't mean that it's not working. In some cases, in some versions of the older ones, Windows 7, it's possible to work it, but we cannot uh, say you that it will be 100%. So you may not count with it. So if you want to use it, always use the Windows 8.1 or newer. You also need the administrator rights on the computer. So in case it's not your computer, it's someone, for example, from your customer, you have to negotiate the user administrator rights to install all the services. For some hardware system requirements, SCADA should run without problems on computers. Okay, the processors i3 or i5, but it's the SCADA itself. It's not very. It doesn't take a lot of performance of your processor. The operation recommended is 8 gigabytes. This is, I think, mandatory. Right now, when you are using new Windows, it will take, I think, 4 gigabytes itself. So if you want to run something on your computer, you always have to have minimum 8 gigabytes of memory. Okay, for hard drives, this is for disks. I think it depends on how your project is large, and we are recommending SSD ones, but this is also risky because you don't know. You have to check how many writes are supported for the SSD ones, because if you want to run it for a long period of time, you may know that SSD ones are not all of them are designed to work for a long period of time. So you may check it first, but it's same like for any server service you may provide or you create. This is kind of important list of ports. I will only mention a few of them. Very important port is 80, because 80, this is a port where a SCADA server is running, so it's a port where the users are approaching. Or the 443, which is when it's encrypted in SSL encryption. So these two are the ones who are used for approach from your browser. The other one, which is also important, is 9696. This is a page where you can manage the user policy. This is a web page of the domain server where you can create users, create groups, and manage your user rights here. And I will only mention the two other ones. This is a web page for your database. So in case you are using database, you can approach it in some user definition here. It's for ones and 1, 2. And the last one, the last port I will introduce you is the 8080 port, which is used for storing the data in case you are sending the data to the database right from the PLCs. I forget to mention it. When you are using this option, when you are sending data from the PLC right to the database, you always need to install a database adapter. It's a free service which is also in our installer, but it's always needed when you want to store the data from the PLC to the database. So this is the port that you will write to your PLCs in case you are saving the data here. It's not this port for the database, it's this port, because then it will translate the data that you send to the database. Okay, the other ports are only needed when you are running more services on the server or the computer and you want to check if all the ports are available. So you can check it here in the table. Very important thing are also add-ons. There are some add-ons to an application that are necessary to run the SCADA system. All of them are free of charge. You can download it from official Microsoft.com page. So it's the official ones, but you have to check it if all these are installed properly in your computer. Okay. Right now we can proceed to the installation itself. So in case you are installing a software, the SCADA software, you will go to our page. You will download the installer here. And after the download, you will have this installer in your computer. Okay, this is a simple part. You will just double click and this window will appear. Okay, just read the license agreement and choose the folder to install. Okay, as you can see, this is why we need an administrator rights. Okay, now I'm ready and I'll show you this. So after installation, this icon will appear on your desktop. When I double click, I always need an administrator. Okay, and I see the application. So first of all, I will introduce you this very important page. In case you don't have a manuals, you don't have an internet connection, you can see all the manuals here. You can see they are in English or in Czech. So you can see all the manuals are stored in our installer. So in case you don't have access to net, don't have the internet connection from the site, you can just open it here. For the installation itself, I would recommend you installation notes. And after you're done and you want to create a project or set the services to run it, I will recommend you the implementation guide. So it's this one. This is for users, for your customers, and these two are for some special operations. As you can see, this is a migration to new hardware. So in case you want to replace your SCADA and to make sure that it will run as it ran on the other computer with all history and everything, you can use this manual, how to move a SCADA to another computer. And this is operation information. I may show you. This is for a backup of your data. So it will tell you where all the information are stored, how to make a backup, and one important category here is SSL security certificate. So you may need this for encrypted page. So this is a brief introduction how to do it. Okay, now when you install it, we first of all we click on the installation, and here we see requirements for the installation. This is very important. These requirements are mandatory to install our services of the Merbon SCADA. When you take a look, you see all the services that can be installed here, and the requirement for each service is in the list under the name of the service. So in case you don't know what it means, you can navigate your cursor to these information buttons, let's say, and they will show you if it's all right or not. In case there is some problem, there won't be this green circle, there will be a red one or a yellow one with some information, further information of the concrete for the specific problem. So first, before the installation, you need to make sure that all these are green. So you have to install the Microsoft C++ Redistributable 15 and 12. You also need to check if you have a .NET Framework 4.7.2 or newer, or .NET Core SDK, which is newer here. Okay, here I can see a problem here. This is a little problem that I will show you right now. For this version 1.5.3, there is a problem with .NET Core SDK, because there was a new version released, version 3. Before it was only 2 point something. Right now there is a version 3. So if I will install it right now, there will be problem here in our installer 1.5.3. Then there will be a problem here. Okay. This is for the older installers. In few weeks we will release a new version when this is fixed. Okay, so in case you are using this version, you will install the SCADA this time. You need to install the 2.1 or newer, but not 3 point something. You need 2.1. That's the best for run SCADA on 1.5.3 version. If you will install it in future, in case the new version is released, so the newer than 1.5 version, you can use this .NET Core SDK 3.1. So if I will start the installation now, the domain server will have a problem here. The other ones will be okay because they don't need this .NET Core SDK. So because of this, I will just make sure that I will reinstall the other one. I have this .NET Core here because I test the new one because it's very soon to release. So I will just show you how to uninstall this core. Hope I will find it maybe here. Okay. Core. Okay, just take a look at the exact name. It should be there. I'll just try that it's working. Okay, it looks it's working. These are okay. I just does this one SDK. Okay, I may do a different thing here. I will show you the the installation in the new installator, because it's a similar one. It will be useful for you in case that in future you may see this in future, so you can use it for your future installations in a new installator. It's kind of same, it's only few differences. Okay, so I will run it here. Okay, so just a moment, I will run the new installer and I will show it to you here. Okay, it's kind of the same. As you may see, it only has few more options. It has shortcuts here, and you see the version here. So this version will be released in a few weeks. So this is for download of RCWare Vision, which is editor for our projects still. This is for Merbon SCADA installer download, and this is license activation web. Okay, this requirements looks kind of same. Yeah, and now it's okay to have .NET Core SDK here. Okay, in case you install all the add-ons, you need this IIS. This is not some add-on. This is the function which can be turned on in your computer, in every computer. Okay, in case you are lucky, you can use this button. This is for automatic settings, but it's not working on every computer, unfortunately. In some computers with a different user policy, it's not working. So in case it goes like this, like on my computer, that the percentage goes to 100, then it's okay. Then you can click refresh, and these IIS components should go green. If it's not working, never mind. You just have to do it manually. So you may need to go to the program and functions. Okay, I'll just scroll down here. So I'm sorry for the Czech language here. It's a program and functions, or application and functions. And here is turn on or off functions of the Windows system. Okay, I will show it to you in the manual to show it to you to the English language. I'm sorry, because I'm unable to change my language here, because if I will change the language of my whole computer, I will need to restart it, so I will need to shut off the stream. So I'm sorry for this, and I will show it to you here in installation notes that is in English. Okay, if I navigate here, so it's Windows features. So turn Windows features on or off. So in case it's not working for you, this button, automatic button, you need to go to open the installation manual, to open the application, and to check that all the settings are same. So you just go here, Internet Information Services, here, okay, and yeah, these ones, okay. So you just take a look and see if all the settings are the same. In case it's same, you will click OK, and it will change you the settings. It will install you something if it's needed, but it's normal Windows applications or add-ons. After this operation, one thing may occur. There should be the Internet Information Services application. Okay, I will show it to you here in English. Okay. Okay, never mind. Never mind. You can just find it here. It's this icon. Sorry, it's this icon. It should be called IIS. And in case you don't, you run it for your first time, there may occur one thing. The port 80 may be read after the IIS settings. This is caused because there will be default web page of the Windows installed here. So in this case, you don't have to panic. You don't have to do anything special. You just can open this Internet Information Services administrator and then open the webs. And in case there is a default web page, you can click on it and stop it. You can stop it, or you can even delete it. Because when you are not running anything on it, it's only default web page of Windows. You can delete it. Okay, so but if you don't want to delete it, you can just stop it. So the SCADA will run. If there is a red circle, it's not a problem for installation itself. It only tells you that the port is not free, and you make sure that there is no some specific or mandatory service running on this port. So in that case, you may check it. Okay, so after all these indicators are green, you can proceed to installation itself. So in this video, I will show you only a domain server and a SCADA server. And the rest, the alarm server settings, some specific user policy, I will make some advanced video of this, because when I did a first one in Czech, I found out that it's very long. It will be very long video. So I only make you some very brief introduction today. So in case you want to install the SCADA, you need two mandatory services. One is a domain server. To install the domain server, you don't need anything specific. You just need to specify the credentials. So you put some login name and the password. The password has some requirements, and you can see them when you start writing. So you see some requirements here. Okay, I will use my surname, and okay, so now I'm okay. And I also need to install today the SCADA server. When I click on it, you see that I need a license. So this is important part. So in case you want to install SCADA somewhere, you always need a license. So in case you want to buy it, you need to choose the license. It's the license, its price, it's done by the number of data points. So in case you need only some few projects running on it, you don't need a higher data points. you just buy some very common basic license for example only 5,000 data points. In case you need some bigger one, you can buy 20,000, or you can buy unlimited if you want to have a huge project with many data points or projects. So there is also an unlimited version in case you need large projects. Okay, so after you buy a SCADA, we will send you the keys, the license keys. For today, I prepared two of them. One for Alarm server, one is for a SCADA server. So in case you buy a SCADA, you will receive two keys, here and here. Okay, one is for a SCADA server, and the second one is for Alarm server. These two are sold together. So if you are buying SCADA basic, you will receive two keys, Alarm server and SCADA server. So Alarm server is free of charge. Every time you buy a SCADA server, you will receive Alarm server for free. The only other license that you may need is for database. So in case you need database, it's not the part of the SCADA server. You need to buy it separately from it. So if you just need a SCADA server, it means that you can store the history just in the files, as you can see here, a file history. So SCADA server itself, it has its own history, but it's in files. It means in case you have a large project, it could be kind of slow to see all the data because the files are not very useful for storing the big data. So in case you have a bigger projects, you may need a database to see the history in some user-friendly way, let's say. So right now we will not install the database, we'll just do the SCADA server and Alarm server, just the basic license. So you have a number, or let's say a code, and in case you have a code, you don't put it here. You can't do it. You see, you can't click here and write anything. You first need to open the license tool and put it here. Okay, so I put it here. Okay, this is not the one. It's this one. Okay. So you put it here. And you will create the activation request. Unfortunately, this is not online. So in case I'm creating the request, it will only create me. Okay, I'll store it here, for example. It will only create me the HW file. It means it will connect this number to my hardware settings of my computer. It will take my processor number, my motherboard number, system name, and the network card also. So this will make sure that the license will be used only on the computer where it was installed. So this is a very important thing. If you are installing SCADA, you need one license to one computer. So the license can be used for one device, one server or one computer. Okay. So in case you need a activation here, you have to call us and buy another license, because the license can be used only on one device, and the specific one, the one where it was created. Okay. So when you create the activation request, this will connect this number to my hardware settings of this computer when it was created. So if you receive the licenses, you have to go to the computer when it will be running, and then there you will be create requests on the computer, not on your computer, but on the computer where the SCADA will be running. So it means on the server or the computer. Okay, so it's not your computer, but the computer where the SCADA will be provided. Okay. So then they will create a request. It's the file. And then you will go to our license page. Okay, I will just show you what the page is. It is licenses.domat.cz. Okay, this one. So in case you want to activate the license, you just upload the hardware description file which we created before. Okay, we created here and here. And you upload the file and you send it to our license server. So our server will know that this license is connected with this hardware. Then you will add your email. It's very important to make sure that the email is correct. And then click next. And you will receive the email in your inbox. And the email will contain the shortcut to your, okay, here, to downloading your license activation file. So now I will download the license activation. Okay, so and this file is the file that we will need to run SCADA installation. So after I downloaded the file, I just click select license and click on the license. Okay, so that's it. If you want to install ARM server, it's kind of the same. I will not show the ARM server today, so we don't need to install it today, but it's the same process. You just add the number here, is the second number. You see the difference between the codes are that the Merbon SCADA server starts with MBSCS and the alarm server code starts with MBALS. So it is for alarm server, this is for a SCADA server. So in case you are installing alarm server, it's same approach. Just put the code here, create activation request, go to our web page and download the license activation file. Okay. Well, today we will only install these two. Here this is a new feature in the previous version 1.3, which is available now. There is no projects folder, so it's automatically put here on this path. In the new version, there is option to choose the path of the project. So from this folder, the projects will be loaded to SCADA on its start. Okay, so the projects are always loaded when the SCADA is starting. Okay, I will leave the installation folder like this and start installation. So during the installation, I can show you some other things in our installer. There is an icon for show application log. Then you can see a log of the application. Which means that there is some ASC license inserted, installation command started. Then there is versions of your services. in case you have any problem, you can contact us, tell us the concrete version so we can find the problem easily. There is a license agreement. The English version is here. So don't be afraid that there is only Czech one. There is also the English version. And these are release notes. You may see that there is only version 1.3, unless this is version 1.6.6. That's because it's not released yet. We don't have the full release notes yet, so it's not here in this, let's say, test version. Okay, I'll just wait for installation to finish. You can use it for some if in case you have some questions to the installation or to the concept of SCADA or something. Okay. So no questions yet, and the installation was complete. In case the installation is done, you can go back to main menu, and you may see that there is some other options. Now there is this services link. This is important in case you don't want to browse all your services here and looking for the correct concrete service. Okay, it's not here already. I can have to. Okay. Here you see this is the Merbon SCADA server service running. Merbon domain server here. So this is for you to. It's easier for you to control it from here. So this is just some user definition that we created that you can stop or run the service from this this HMI. You can also see a log, application log. So in case of any problem, you will see that there will be some note of the problem. Or you can go to folder of the log in case you have multiple log files. Okay, so this is for services control. You can also see the backup icon here. This is used when you want to store the data from your projects. When you want to make a backup, you can click here on configurations. This will save you all the configurations which were set during the installation. And in case you want to also save all the projects, in case of the SCADA server, it means the projects that are running on the SCADA server, the visualization. And in case of domain server, the project means users and the groups. So it means basically the user definition. So we can create a backup here. it will show you, okay, created the backup. Oh, sorry, I'll need to just start, sorry, I just close it. I need to find the test version, so just a moment. Okay, here is it. Okay, so this is for backup, and there is also the button for uninstall. By this button you uninstall everything from your computer. In case you want to uninstall only one service, you can go back to installation. You see that these ports are now occupied by the Merbon SCADA services. And if you go to installation, you can just delete one service in case you need to reinstall just one or delete one of them. So this is, or you can install the other ones here also. Okay. Okay, I think that's it for installation. So this is the installation of the services. And right now I will show you how to check if everything is running fine. So in case you done the installation, you can take a look if the SCADA is running on your computer. You can either just start your browser and you can add a RIDL localhost, and there should be Merbon SCADA login page. And in case of the domain server, you go to localhost /9696. This is the web definition for domain server. So you see that both are running. You can also check it in the Internet Information Services administrator, and you'll see that there is two webs, domain web and SCADA web. Both are running. Okay. So this web is running on the port 80, which is the default one. And this is running on the 9696 port. So in case you remember your user, that's very important thing, because this user will be used during the settings, during the configuration. So in case you need it, in case you create it, you just make sure you have it somewhere safe where you don't where you don't forget it. So we can click login. I'm sorry for a font or something because it's still the test version here. So there will be some slight changes maybe, and you see that there is no projects here, but it's working. The user is working. And it's the same here. I can just log here and I see the users and the groups. To do user definition, I will tell you more about the users in the next video, in the advanced, so make sure you won't miss it. Right now I will only show you how to put the project in your SCADA definition in here, to put some project. Okay, so this is all for the installation part. Right now it's working, SCADA and domain server. So in case you don't have any questions, I will leave you a minute, and then we will continue with RCWare Vision software, which is used as an editor right now for the projects. Okay, I believe there is no questions, so I will proceed with the RCWare. So in case you want to install the RCWare, you can download it for our webpage in case you don't have it already. So it's the same. Okay, I will try just, maybe this is not, sorry. Okay, oh, it's in the Czech language. So I will just click on the English version and we can download the software. So here we go to RCWare Vision, and in case you don't have it already, you click here, download, and here is the newest version. Okay, how it works, you don't need to download the installation file. The only thing that you need is the update to latest version. This update, this hotfix, it works on installer itself. So in case you want to install it, you can either install the installation file and then you need to install hotfix, or you can skip the first part and you can just install the hotfix. It works as an installer. It just checks that you don't have the RCWare installed and will install it from the hotfix itself. So there are some release notes also, and to make sure that everything is working fine with your SCADA, it's always good to make sure that you have a latest version of the RCWare, or the version that was released with the Merbon SCADA. You can check that right now when I'm releasing the new SCADA software. We are always releasing also the hotfix for the RCWare. So it means there is also one version which were released in the day when the SCADA was released. This is because some changes, some bug fixes are done either in RCWare in SCADA. So you need to have a latest RCWare to make sure that all the bug fixes are here also. Okay, so now I will run the hotfix. So here I downloaded the hotfix and I will run it. Okay, it's running now, so I will show you. Okay, here. So here you can just next. This is, but this can be an important thing. Just make sure it's not installed in the program files folder. The RCWare Vision, that's kind of an old software. It's like 20 years old. So it can be hard to work with it right now in the latest Windows versions. And one limit it has, it's when it's in a program files folder. The new versions of Windows don't support all the scripts or the usage of this folder than the RCWare Vision is using. So it may drop some operations of RCWare. So in case you want to make sure everything will work fine, it's great to just choose some different folder. So for example, you just create the RCWare folder here. Okay, so we are in program files, so just in C and here, RCWare. Okay, this is great, like this, so right in the root. Or you can create separate folder, but just don't install it in program files. Okay, so this is just the extension. It's not the installation itself. This is just the extension. And right now the installer will start. So you can see that there is install file, start date. Okay, and you see that there is some installation notes. You can just click yes. And you don't need any name here. You just click yes, okay. And this is important thing again. So don't install it in the program files. Just choose the root and it will automatically create you the RCWare folder. You don't need to click on the RCWare folder. In that case, it will create you the next folder inside it. So you just need to click on the root and it will create you the folder. Okay, this is the process of the installation. And you can click OK. And OK. Okay, after the installation, there will be shortcut on your desktop, I believe, or maybe not. So if there is no shortcut, you can find it here. So you see RCWare. If I just write RCWare, it shows me the application. When I started for the first time, there can be some, okay, now it has the same settings, but there can be some windows, little windows that will be open. So just click next or OK. You don't need to write anything in it. In case it will ask you for, okay, it will ask you for some credentials. You will just set the RC admin and the password is RW. I will change the language here. Okay. So the credentials are RW. I'll show you here. Okay, so credentials RW. Okay, so we will copy, and paste. Okay. So this is just the editor right now. In some old projects, we use this as a SCADA. So it has some functions that are used for communication with project. This can be useful during editing also because you can check if your project is communicating, if it's running right here in RCWare. So you don't need to wait to export it to Merbon SCADA to see if it's running or not. You can check the communication here also. So when you start it for the first time, I recommend to open the settings and PC resources. This is important part because it will help you to work with RCWare properly or easily. Maybe I would recommend to turn off the require user password and the profile selection also, because these two, in case you don't uncheck it, it will be shown on every start of the RCWare software. I would also recommend on these radial buttons, I will recommend to click on do not open any windows on start, because unless you have the other state, it will show you the last closing. So there could be like 20 projects and it will very delay your start. So I would recommend to click do not open any windows. In that case, you will see the blank page as I have it now. Okay, just click here, and then use parameters. It will save you these settings. Okay, you see that it's necessary to restart the RCWare, so we will do it. And you will see that it's running fine now. We'll just start after the clicking on the RCWare shortcut. Okay, we have opened it. So in case you are familiar with RCWare, this may won't be very maybe useful for you, but maybe you will learn some new things here. If you are not familiar with this, this is a good place for. Maybe this will be a little too much information in a short period of time, but I will show just some basics how RCWare Vision works. So in case you want to create new project, you have to click on settings and create new station. In this case, the new station is as a new project. If you want to create a technological scheme, you need to click on this. So it will create you a theme for the project. But first you need always to have a station or project created. Okay, I can just show you how it works, but then I will copy the old project that I created in advance to show you some bigger one to don't waste time on creating every data point. So I will just, for example, training, and yeah, I can click here on assistant. It will show me some walkthrough. So here, okay, new application, the wizard will help you to set its basic properties. So there is a station name. I will choose the protocol for communication with devices. This is very important for your SCADA projects. But right now we are only supporting our proprietary protocols, which is SSCP or a soft PLC link. So if you want to install the SCADA, if you want to provide a SCADA, and you want to connect PLCs, it will only communicate over SSCP protocol or through soft PLC link. Okay, the other ones are not yet implemented in SCADA, but we are planning to implement the Modbus also and BACnet. Yeah. So right now we will add a SSCP protocol, which is to communicate with our new PLCs, which is a Mark or a Wall series. Okay, I will just do one, prepare this profile, and finish. So this is my table. You may see it's kind of similar as the table in a SCADA, and you see that there is a first data point. This data point, it's not for communication with some value. This is for communication itself with the PLC. This is setting of a communication. So in case you're creating a new project and you want to communicate with PLCs, you have to create one key, let's say key or communication point, communication driver maybe, for every PLC you want to communicate with. So this is one default from the creation. In case I want to change it, I want to edit the settings, I just click here. So this is how we basically editing the softwares. Yes, thanks you for the question. This is very good question actually. Yes, this is planning to include this in the IDE. Yeah, we're planning this because in the future we don't want to use RCWare anymore on our new projects. We will only support it as for the old ones, but we want to move all the functions for editing the projects to Merbon IDE. So thanks you for the question, Mr. Neves. This is very good question because I forget to tell it in at start. So this is a good question. Right now we are not supporting it because it's only like in some test stage. We already has some basic editor, SCADA editor in IDE, but it's not in the version. It's not in the release because it's just the basics. It's for our testing. So we are in state of testing of these options because there is a very large number of options in RCWare. So in the future, yes, we are planning to implement the whole concept of editing projects to Merbon IDE so that you will have only one software to edit everything, to create programming for your PLCs, to create HMI and the SCADA as well. So yeah, thanks for the question. And yes, in the future we are planning, and we already done some work on it. So it will be in some few If you, I don't know, I can tell you any time of the release, but in the future versions it will be included in Merbon IDE. Right now this is like kind of half step. I don't know the right correct word for this in English. It's just the first step, because we don't want to tell everyone that if you want to use SCADA, you have to drop all your projects from RCWare and you cannot move them. So this is especially as some kind of connection with the old project. So in case you want to use your old projects, you can use them in SCADA, unless and you don't have to create them again. So if you have already created some projects in RCWare, you can use RCWare easily now to export them to SCADA and to use all the advantages of SCADA without editing new projects. But that's the thing for us to make in future, to make sure that it will be more clear than the RCWare, because in RCWare it's kind of a complicated software. It's not very useful for a new project. So yes, it will be included in our future versions of Merbon ID. Okay, so back to the Merbon, to the RCWare. So when I click here, and if I want to edit something in RCWare, I just click on this icon, this little lock. Okay, this can be useful for you also. You see that there is no tooltip, but it's not true. There is actually a tooltip for all the icons, but it's shown here on the bottom. I hope you see it on the screen, but yes, I think you see it. So here you can see, if you take a look on the bottom, you see that it's changing, depends on when I have focus on my cursor. Okay, so now I unlock it and see that there is some basic settings. So here you put the IP address of your PLC, the port. In normal case it stays the same. For the older PLCs, for a soft PLC link you use this port. But for the new ones, for the Mark series or Wall, you use this port and its IP address. Then the user password, and this slave ID or router mode, it's used only when you want to communicate with SCADA through the mod RS 485 bus. So in that case, you can have one PLC as router that will communicate through TCP with your SCADA, and the others can communicate through serial connection. This is also a new feature here in RCWare or SCADA also. Okay, this is for a start, this you need. And if you want to create a new data point, you click edit and here, new data point. Okay, then you will choose its type. We have few types. We have analog inputs, which are reading some analog value, digital inputs, which are reading some digital value, integer or bool, and then outputs, the analog outputs with incremental button or set button, and digital outputs, which are just the buttons itself. Then there is a time program, very useful also, the control time, which shows you always the time of the PLC, and you can also change it or manage it if it's wrong. Then there is a technology group, which is just for the navigation to your project, and a header, which is the name of a group. Definition for communication drivers, that's this key file, which if I create a new one, I can add multiple PLCs to one project. Okay, so this is just for a start, brief start. Now I will copy the preset project in the RCWare, and I will just show you the rest on it project, because I don't want to waste too much time with creating new project here. Okay, so here just how to put a project in RCWare. First you will just close the RCWare. You will open the RCWare folder, then the data folder, and here you can see the folder for my project. Here I have to put the project I created in advance. So I just find it. Okay, here. Here. And this is the folder I was looking for. Just copy and paste. Now when the folder is inside the project, inside the data folder, and I will run RCWare, I will see the project there. Okay, so I'll run it. And how to open a project. If you want to open an existing project, you click View and Database Editor, and you choose the project. So here you can see the one I created before, and this is the one I created in advance. So I click OK, and then the project is opened. So this project, as you can see, this is a table very similar to the table which was in the demo. This is a table. So if you created data points like this, it will be shown in a table view in your SCADA. So this will be shown in a SCADA. You see the buttons here, the configuration, the values and everything. The types are here. You see it by icon. This is a digital input, digital output, analog output, and analog input. You also can see that the outputs have buttons here. Okay, so here you see digital output have buttons to switch from one state to another state. And the time programs, for example, these are time programs. They have a set button to set the time program. Analog outputs have incremental buttons, or this button to put the exact value there. Okay, through all RCWare, this table, the data points are created by its interfaces, which can be shown when I double click it. When I put the editation, unlock the editation, and double click. Okay, now I see the configuration of the data point. So the data point itself, it's not just one specific value, it can have multiple values inside. So the first value, this is for read, and this is a value that is shown on the data point. Okay, and here is address inside my PLC. This is same for all values. You see when I double click here, you see there is a different data address, but it's similar, very similar to the other one. So the first interface here, 0, this is for communication with the PLC. So when you double click, here is a channel. This is important. It depends what channel is your definition communication point. The first one you see that here is SSCP protocol, and here is channel 1. So in case I have channel 1, it will communicate with the PLC on the IP address which is set in the data point here. Okay, so this is for switching between PLCs. And here I can load variables from my IDE project. So in case you create an IDE project, okay, I will just go here and find it. SCADA demo, okay. I'll open it, go to this .in file, and there is a vlist file. So when you have a project in IDE created, you can open it here and you can see all the variables here. And by clicking it, you can create a connection between the variable inside your project and to RCWare or SCADA in our case. So this is how you connect the data points. So you can create data points you need, the types that you need, and then you can connect them. Okay, by this first one, just load the vlist file from the concrete for a specific project, and then you just put the vlist file, find the value you need, make a connection by double clicking, and okay, and that's it. How we work with this, normally we not very often create a new data points. Most often we just click here on the T button and we can copy all the data points. So now if I click Ctrl C and Ctrl V, it will copy all the data points, and I can do this from the other project to this project, for example. Okay, so I will show you. I can just add these ones. Now Ctrl C. Now I can open the other project. Ctrl V. Okay, it's locked, so I will unlock it. And I have all my points here. So pretty simple. So after you have some project done, and if there are some parts of the projects are similar, you can use these points. In case you don't have any project yet, you can ask us on our email, support@tomat.cz, and you can ask for a sample project, and we will send you a sample project for SCADA, from which you can, and also from IDE, from which you can see how to create properly, how to create exact variables, data points, and stuff. Okay, so you see these buttons are created here. You see that there is a IO value type button. It's a reference to the first value. And it's a digital mask. It means it takes the value here. Here the reset value, it's a bool value. It has only two values. It has 0 and it has 1. So I put a digital mask to it. And the digital mask is these 3 letters, which in Czech means off. And this is on. So I can rename it for our purpose. So when it's 1, it's on. When it's 0, it's off. Okay, so this is just the digital mask for name of the buttons. Okay, this init value, this is a special value here. You see this is a function analog set. You can create a new interface by double clicking here. And you can, for example, create a brand new button if you need it for some kind of reason. For example, like this. Then I will have a next button here. So it's kind of simple. You just click what you want. You just have to take some look at this, and you just go through it and create it yourself, and you will see it. But normally when you use this wizard to create it, the assistant, it will help you to create it as you show it here. without any further configuration. So this is just in case you want to change it and to know why there is buttons here and why there is no buttons here. So you can open the interface and to see that there is some incremental button, and it's incremental by interface number 5 is here. So it is 0, 1. Here it's 0 plus. So in case you, for example, want to change the step here, you just double click, change the value to 1.5, and here, for example, 1.5 also. Now it will add 1.5 when I click this button to the value and write it to PLC, and when I click this button it will just reduce the value. Okay. So for this it can be useful. This is a bool value, so we have only 0 and 1, but in case you have multiple, you have integer value, you may need more outputs, so you'll create the more buttons. Yes, the reference. Okay, there is also this driver type. It means if it's a data point from the PLC, if it's a constant, or if it's another data point reference. So if I click another data point reference, I can make a reference to another data point or a data point which I'm editing right now. So I can either read some interface from the other data points. So this is a way how to share the data. So to share the data between the multiple data points and to create some logic here also. So RCWare, it's kind of complicated to create a simple solutions, but it's useful when you create some, more sophisticated ones. Then it's useful because you can create some scripts here. You can share the values between data points and stuff. So it can be very useful. Okay. This is and that's also a reason why it's not very easy to move from RCWare, because our customers will also think that all the old stuff is also in the new Merbon IDE. So I think that won't be very soon the case. It will be step by step fulfilling all the expectations. So this is why we're still using RCWare now. Okay, so this is just for basics. You see, so the communication point, time programs, analog inputs, analog outputs, digital outputs, and digital inputs. I don't know if I forget some points. I think, time, there is also time program, okay, and the controller. Yeah, we can also make a controller here. Okay, this should be it. Measured, okay. Okay, so that's for a data point in table, and you always have to create a table. If you want to create a project, you first start with a table, and then after your table is ready, you can just save it. Then you proceed to the technological theme. So after you have a table, you have all the data points you may need. You may not use all of them in a theme, but you have to put all you want to use here. So first you create a table, and then you create a technological theme. Why it's like this? Because the technological theme only references to the table. So you can't create a new data point inside the technological theme. All the data points in a theme must have a connection to the data point table. So if I want to create a new technological theme, I click here. But in this case, I have already created technological theme, so I click here, and I will show you my pre-made seam here. So here it works kind of same. If you want to edit the seam, you just click here to unlock, and then you can right click to add a new object, or you can click on objects to change its settings. It's pretty simple. I will just go through all the types here. So first, it's very simple. The text type is just the static text. It will show you the text that it's written here. It's, for example, these ones. Then there is a picture. Picture, still very simple. You just show the picture which is set here. So, for example, it's this one. Okay, I can add some new one here to show you our pictures. So I'll just go to, okay, if you install our graphics, it will create you a folder inside the apps. Okay, why it's not by the name? Yeah, here. Merbon symbols, and here you can see the something. Okay. Here's a preview. Oh, it's not very useful. I will use, okay. For example, this one. Okay, so this is how to put a picture there. And then there is a value indicator. I think that's the most useful thing. The indicator can be used as only to read a value. For example, this is value indicator. Or you can also use it as an editor. So for example, these buttons are also a value indicator. It is the same type as this one. It's just defined by settings. So if I will show you how to do this, okay, so value indicator, and I can choose in this time, okay, just this is a analog setter. And if I just create it like this, I will have, okay, no data point. So I just have to double click. Okay, it's here it's the connected data point. So if there is a blank page, blank space, you may need to double click on it properly. So I just double click. Now it should be okay. Okay, and then there is a value. Now it only indicates the value. Okay, there is some general properties. I can change the border or a background. Okay, some other color. Okay, see, change it slightly. Border, there could be non-border, for example, just to be to have a better look here. Okay. So and here this is just for a value indication. In case I want to use, for example, the incremental buttons that I created before in the table, I can add them by changing the radial button here. So for example, I can do a horizontal button, and you can see that now the buttons appeared. So when you properly created the table, when you take a time, create all the buttons, then it's pretty simple to create the visualization, because the buttons are created automatically. You just need to make a connection, and it's kind of simple. Now you have a plus, minus, and a set of a value here. Very simple. You don't even need to show the value here. This is a way how we created this indicator. So I can, for example, hide the value here. And now it will be just the buttons. And I can create the text to see what it's doing to. Okay, so it will be analog setter. Okay, the text has its own properties also. So I can do none. Background can be, it can be hide background, I think here, yeah, visible, invisible, no, etc. Here, transparent, yeah, that's it, I think. Okay, center, it's here. Okay, so this is how you can create some part of your graphics. So this is for a value indicator. Now button we only use for creating some switches. So in case you don't want to create a button, you can create it this way. It can be just for one button from uh, your options from your data point. You can also add some picture here for your button, so you can create brand new button and just do like a picture masks for every state. So you can create some maybe better looking buttons than these ones. So you can create your own buttons here. You can for on, there is pressed. So you can add something here, not pressed, something else. And intermediate, this is for SCADA. This is when the button is writing and it wants to show you that it's writing and it's waiting for a change. So you can add some middle state. Okay, you see that there we created some button. It's not very logical, but it can be used like this. Okay, so okay. And you can also do switching buttons here. And this is the other state. You can switch between two states here also. And you can add the pictures, your own pictures here. Okay, this is for button. Shape and the connecting line. This is just for some old graphics. You can use it but it's not very useful now. It's only in case you want some graphics, but it's very old one, so it may be not very useful for you. You will, I think, most likely use some your graphics. Okay, then button, connecting line. I will also show you the reference area. A reference is a button that will navigate you to some other theme. Or it can navigate you, for example, to the data point table. Or it can show you some graph. Or it can be reference to something. Okay. They can also be a reference to other project. So other station theme, you will choose the other project and the theme here. So there you can make a navigation through all your projects by these buttons. So reference area, this one. Okay, then there is a time program. This is just, you can see it here, for example. It is just to set the time programs from the visualization, from the theme, not from the table. You can use these objects. You just connect it to the right time program value data point, and then it's working. That is not very, there is no difficulties in these settings of the time programs. Okay, this is for equithermal file. So in case you create this is maybe more for advanced. Maybe this I will show you in the advanced video. So for right now, I will just show that it's just connected to some file, and it will show you the heating curve. Okay, I think we are done here. And then there is the last one, one of the important also, and that's animation. Animation is very useful to show the users that there is something happening in your project. So you can create an animation for a run or a stop. For example, for the ventilator or a heating or something else. So you can create by the animation you can create the it's like a picture reference to some value. So if you have some integer value, you have multiple states, you can create the animation and it will change you the pictures uh, depending on the value. The best example could be the alarm point. You see that here I connected the alarm point. You see? And here I have all the states that alarm can have. And for these states, I created the pictures. So you see the picture is changing, slightly changing. Okay, I will just double click to show you the picture. So depending on the state, the picture is changing here. So here I create a connection just by double clicking on the alarm point, and here I create the state for every alarm point, alarm state. And then here, this is a control script that defines what picture should be shown when the state appears. And in the script, this is useful because you can do some basic programming here. For example, this is an AND, or you can make an OR something else, some else functions here. If you are interested more in this scripting, more in RCWare in general, you can use help, but it's not very simple here because as you can see, if I click here, contents, it shows me just nothing here because right now this function is off for the Windows 10 or newer. So in case you have the new Windows operation system, there is some ways how to show the help. One way is you just go to the RCWare folder. You find the help and there is this file which you can convert to the PDF. So, and there is English version. This is one way. Or the other way, it's described in our it's described, but it's in Czech. So there is also a way how to do this by just putting some. If you Google it, you just have to find the. Okay, this for the. You see, there is a solution. If I change it to language, is it possible here? Okay, I don't know if it's possible. If you just Google, it may show you in the right language. And if it's not, just go to this page in English. And then you can download the old WinHelp part of your system and then to implement it in your computer. So you can just, it's basically very simple. You just download the file from Windows 7 and you put it in your Windows 10 and then it's working. You know, they just remove it, you know, so it's not something, it's not working here. They just remove it from a support. So they remove it from Windows 10, but you can just download this driver for these helps and you can implement it in your software. So this is two ways how to open the help here. It could be helpful for you also because there is description for everything in the theme and the stuff. And or if it's unclear, you can write us an email or call us, and I will try to explain it to you how to do it properly. Okay, I think that's for this is for visualization, and now I will show you the main part. This is also for people who work with RCWare recently, maybe don't know how to export the projects. So this is a new function. It's only in our new RCWare version. So in case you have an older version, you need to download the latest one. If you have a new version, I will show you the, for example, this or newer. You'll be able to see in the settings the option export to SCADA 2. So in case you see this, you just click on the export button, and in case all your project is over and you're done, all your work is finished, you can save it by clicking here. Okay, just save it. And then when all your work is done, you are satisfied with your project, you just click settings and then export to SCADA 2. Okay, then you see this export dialog. This is a path to create SCADA project. This is one of the important settings. Here you just click on these three dots and you just choose the file or choose the path where you want to export your projects. So basically now we go back to installation, and during the installation there was an option to choose the project folder. I believe we leave it on Vision Data, so it's now here, Vision Data SCADA. So it created us a folder here in the root. This was created during the installation, and there is Vision Data and SCADA. And here is where the projects should be when we want to load them to SCADA. So you can create it like this. You can export it right to the Vision Data, but it's not very recommended because then you will overwrite your old projects by exporting. So it's maybe better to have some separate folder for exporting. So I'll show you how to make it. You just double click, and here you can create a folder which is called export. Okay. Then we will create a history, which will be for our file history, because right now we are not using database. So for a history we need file history, and for that reason we have to create a folder called history. I use this underline just to make sure that it will show me that these files were created by me and not by a software itself. So I see that these are like my folders. Okay, now I will choose these two. Okay, so the history will be stored in this folder, and the export will be done here. Okay, we'll just go through this dialog. It looks very scary for the first time maybe, but it will leave all your settings. So if you've done one export, it will save you all the settings for the next time. So you won't need to do this again. There is just one very mandatory one. So first go to advanced settings and check this setting, because this may not be default set by installation. So in case you install it for the first time, just go to advanced settings and here check this set run for exported projects on SCADA server startup. This is very important. So just go to navigate to advanced settings and then check this option. Okay, then you can move back to the basic settings. And here we have create new station GUID on duplicity. This is a thing which wasn't very, there was no problem with duplicity GUID in RCWare Vision. The RCWare Vision didn't work that way that it will cause any problem when you have a duplicity. In case of SCADA, this is not the case. You need to have unique GUIDs for all your project. In case you are not, you don't know what GUID is your project, you just click edit. You go to the database editor, edit, and you see here station GUID. This is the GUID of your project. Okay, but also not only this GUID, but also the GUIDs of your themes have to be unique. In case you make the themes by, for example, copying it, maybe there could be some duplicity here. It's not a problem, you just have to check these two options, and in case there is some duplicity, it will automatically change your GUID. It won't make you any harm in the RCWare, but it will be able to export it to Merbon SCADA. So don't be afraid to check these two. Then this is for user rights. As I said before, user rights, I will explain it more in the next video. And here, so this is just to create user groups for operating. This is not very important for you. This is just for some special operations, for special communication options, yeah, for some special communication occasions. And then here, this is for export access user policy rights. This will export you the policy that is implemented in your RCWare. But as I said before, user policy will be more detailed, described in the next video. So here you can check all these. And here, if you are new here, maybe this will be unchecked. So check it, set alarm masks, and here you may need to choose the right file. Here in this folder, SCADA converter, resources, these are two files which contains the alarm point values in Czech language and in English language. In case you want it in your language, you can actually go to this file. Okay, here in RCWare. Okay, utilities, SCADA converter, resources. So this path. And here is a file. It's kind of simple. Here you can see this is a normal state. This is active acknowledge, memory acknowledge. These numbers are in the Merbon ID. So if you created some alarm, you may see that these numbers are on output. And in case you, for example, want this in your language, you can create a new text file and just write your the states in your language. Just translate these states in your language. Okay, for now we will use the English ones. These are just optional functions. You may don't need these. Maybe this could be could be useful. In case you have not stable communication, in case you have an unstable communication, there is sometimes some delays with your communication, but it's not an error to you. You don't want SCADA to show you all these errors. Then you can click here to check this option, and then you can add the delay for your communication alarm. You see it was what I showed you here. Okay, in the first one there was some communication error. Okay, I'll show it to you here. So this will show only after the delay, in case you check it. In case you don't, it will show immediately. Okay, we will uncheck this for now, because this is only for uploading the SCADA after the first upload. If you only do slight changes in your project, you only change the data points or something in your visualization, and you already have projects running, you can use this option, but maybe I will talk about this a little bit more in our future video, advanced. Right now you don't we don't need this, and we just click here, export selected stations. Okay, we choose this station, this project. Okay. Okay, will show me the... Now there is a tricky one, tricky for you. There is press a key, but only key that is working is enter key. So if I click other, it's not working, you see. Only one, it's the enter. Okay, the projects are exported. We will take a look how it's done. So I'll just go folder, and it's here. After export, there is two folders. One is CFG. There are the configuration files inside. One is called behaviors. Here you can see it's an XML file. You can see this is a project ID. In case you will export more projects, there will be multiple projects in your export. This is very important in case you are exporting projects to the stations and you have multiple projects. You need to export all of them to make sure that you created proper CFG files. Then, in case you want to change, for example, just one of the projects, then you don't copy this folder at all. You just export it, and you just copy this folder inside the projects. Because if you copy the configuration files to your running SCADA, and after the restart of the SCADA, it will only show you the last exported project, because this export is made only for one project. Okay, in case you want to show all of them, you have to export them in one time. So for example, first of all, you export all of them, and then if you copy everything, you copy the CFG folder, you copy projects folder, and then when you make only some changes, you just export it and then go to projects folder and copy it. This is why it's very important to don't have it inside your this folder, but have it in some other folder. Okay. And then there is projects. It's called by its GUID, and you can see there is configuration files, themes, there is pictures that we used, and everything what is needed to run it. So in this case, I want the configuration and the project, both of them. So I click copy and navigate back and paste it here. In case I would just change something in a project and don't want to make a configuration different, I just go here and just export this, copy this file to here. Okay, so this in case that SCADA was already running and I just want to make some changes in the visualization or the data points, so I don't copy the whole folder again. Okay, what is needed now? Now the SCADA the projects are not running, because the SCADA always upload the projects when it starts. So what do we need? We need to restart the SCADA. There is two ways how to do it. The first way is to open the services, go here and do it from here, or maybe easier for you will be just I'll just open the test. Oh, you will normally click on the icon, but I have a test SCADA, so I just have to go here. Okay. And services, and then restart it from here. You can see it's the same as here. So if I filter the SCADA now, we will see it stopped. And when I run it, and I will refresh, it's running. Okay, so right now it's running, and we will take a look if it's running properly. So either you go to browser, and you write localhost. Or if you are working in a new version, 166 or newer, there is also shortcuts here. So there is for a localhost and for one for a domain web. Okay, so in case you have a good memory and you remember your password, you can write it and just click login. And now you'll see this project here. In case you've done everything properly and you don't see any project, just make sure that your user have a rights to see the project. So you can log here and take a look at the domain admin, and you see that he has some permissions here. Here he can see the projects. In case he don't see anything, you can add him to group. This is also for the older versions. In case you are working in an older version, 1.5.3, you may not see the project here after the export. You will have to go here, add the user to some user group, for example SCADA admins, which provides access to all your projects, and it's write and read, and you have to add him to group to see any project. In the new version 1.66, there is also option to do this by these rights. So this is a slight change from our older versions. So in case you are using 5.3 or older, you will have to add your user to this group to see it, but I will talk more about groups in the next video. But it's just for make sure that you will make some basic definition. But in case you're working in a newer version, I think you wouldn't have so many problem with it, and you will see it right from the export. Okay, so this is for. Yeah, I see. Yes, this is for current version. Yeah, for 1.5.3, and it's a change from this version. We make like some slight change here to, so it will be easier for you to do this. Yes, and it's written in the manual actually, so you can read it here also. So if you are using current version, this is a thing for you. You have to go here and add your user to SCADA admins. Or SCADA admins is read, write for all groups, or projects, or you can use all users. This is read only, but it's for all projects that you have it in your system. Yes, you can create a user here like this, and a group like this. Okay, but about the user policy I will talk more in the next video. Okay, so right now we have a project here, export it, and I'll just make sure that the communication is working. I don't have a physical PLC here, so I have to run a runtime, a virtual PLC. I'll just run a project. Okay, so I will find a project. In case you don't know how to work with what I'm doing now, you can take a look at our Merbon IDE tutorial videos, or next week I will have a Merbon IDE basic video in English, so you can take a look here also. I'll just change the language and the theme. Okay, to restart it. Okay. Okay. So this is our project. I pre-created this in advance. This may change. It's still loading, you see it here. And we have to, I just run the runtime. Okay, I will just add it to my screen here. Okay, these two. I'll just run runtime, hope it will work, and okay, find the PLC. Okay, there is some problem here. I may run the wrong version of it. Okay, and just make sure it works. Last time I have it in check, there was a problem here, so I just... Okay, so I will try to run this one, the older version, because I'm running the older version of Merbon SCADA. I just need a proper version of runtime also. Okay, but this looks bad also. I just take a look at the version I'm running right now, and I'll just run the right version here. Okay, this should be it. Okay, system problem. Compatibility controller. Okay, I'm sorry, I'll just try maybe the older one. Okay, I may try to just start because I may done some changes here in the project during testing. I may reopen it in the different version, so I'll just make sure I'm opening the right one for a training. So I'll open it here. Okay, yeah, this should be fine. Okay. It's still opening. Okay, should be fine. So I'll just upload the project, run it. Okay, it was successful. I go back to SCADA and you see now alarm appeared. This is the alarm window. And you see that the points are communicating now. I think it's working fine. So maybe I'll just show you some editing here. Now it's working, it's communicating. I'll just show you because on our first part, when I showed you our preview, there was a read-only account. So I will show you how it looks when you, for example, change the value. So it will pop up through the window and it will show you the value field here, and you can change it by clicking here. Okay, you can change the buttons like this by clicking it. When it's red, it means it's waiting. It not means it's writing so long, you know. It means it's waiting for the next review to see if it was written properly. This is a change of RCWare Vision. Some of our customers said that it looks like slow, it looks very slow, but this is different between RCWare. If you change it in RCWare, it changes immediately, but it doesn't wait for a backup, for a feedback from your PLC. So in case there is a problem and you are not able to write it, you will click on it, you will see that it's changed, and after a short period of time it will change back. This is in RCWare, and we want to avoid this in SCADA, so we made this. So if you click it, it's red, and it means it's waiting. It will be written very fast, but it's waiting on the backup, on the feedback, and when the feedback is that the value is off, it will show you the value. If I start, for example, if I start debugging here, I can see that it's very like immediate. When I change something, I have a reset here. Okay, reset. Okay, this is reset. This is button. So I click, you see immediately it's true, but it's waiting for a feedback from the PLC. It doesn't mean it's waiting for such a long time to do the value, but it means it's only waiting for a feedback. So if you see, I click it, immediately it changes to false, but it waits to see if it's already there or not. Okay, so this is for these. I can acknowledge alarm like from this button, or I can go here. Here I can, for example, show in a seam, I can go here, and the opposite, if I click some point and I want to see it in table, I just click here, show data point in object in the table view. It will navigate me there. Also, there is a way how to see the buttons. This is a button which is created only for a set button, so I can change the value here. Okay, and right now it will be, you see that now I change the heating from cooling, and I can do the opposite here. Okay, I have to do the lower value. Okay, now it's cooling, and I have alarm here. Okay, I can do the opposite one more time, and alarm will be in memory here, and I can reset it by this button. Okay. Time programs, they are look pretty same like in Merbon IDE. So you see here, if I want to change the settings, I can do it like this. Save, and then I go here. I see it here. Okay. No, it's not. It's this one. Okay, I can round the time here. In case I don't want to do exact minute, I want just half an hour, so I can do it for half an hours. I can go table view here, exceptions, it's all working here also. There is a real time program. Here I can just write any value I want and put it here also. Okay, it will be shown here in the real one. You'll see it here. Okay. This is just for a time program. This is the indicator. So today it's Thursday, I believe. Thursday, and if I change it like this, it may change to the other icon. Okay, we'll see. Oh, I did it for Wednesday, sorry. So Thursday. Yeah, and it changed the state here. Okay, so that's for, yeah, the last thing here, the equithermal curve. If you want to change the settings, you can do it here. Maybe if you worked with the SCADA before, at our older version 1.5.3, you may notice that there is not very user-friendly settings of this curve. Right now, if you are using a version 1.6.6 or newer, it's fixed now and it's working fine. As you can see here, it's showing me the value, and I can change the heating curve here pretty easily. Okay, this is yeah, it's here, but there is no graph. This is just points here. So I just see change of the points, not the graph. Okay, okay. Now it's written. All the data is written now. Okay, so this is for this is for operating in C. I add 1.5 as I change it in my table view. Okay, I think that's it. That's it for today. It's already 3.5 hours long, so I hope you are not tired. And in few weeks, I believe we will create a new advanced video for this. I'm not sure if it's planned right now. I'll just check, but I think it's not there. But it will be yeah. There is just Merbon SCADA next week. So if you are new with our company, you want to learn something about Merbon SCADA, about PLC programming, you are welcome to join me next week. Or there will be there is no planning now, but we will refresh our events, and there will be new advanced SCADA. So I hope you enjoyed the video. In case you have any questions, you can write it right now, and I will try to answer. In case you're not, have a nice day. Thanks you for your attention. Thanks you for your questions also, and for your communication with me. So in case of any questions, just write it now, or you can write at our technical support email, which is here. You can write us an email, or you can visit our YouTube channel, where is not only the streams right now, but also some older tutorials, videos, everything. So in case you want to see all of it, you missed something, you can take a look and you see all the videos here. Okay, there's also English ones for Merbon SCADA, and we will soon release new ones for a new version of Merbon SCADA soon. So in case you don't see everything, just take a look. Maybe there will be something useful for you. And yes, and so okay, thanks you for attention one more time. I'll see you next week, I hope, or in next SCADA video. In case of any questions, do not hesitate to contact us. We will try to answer you as soon as possible. So it's this number or our email. Now have a nice day. Stay safe and healthy, especially these days. And I hope I will see you soon in our next video, or maybe in some better traveling times next year in some meeting. So have a nice day. Thanks a lot, and see you again. Bye.